Said to come in or hit y'all up on this Truth Be Told Thursday. Just take some time to enjoy me, man. Just take some time to be able to give myself some love and to relax and let my mind defrag a little bit, let some of this shit off, kind of chill out. Welcome into the Token Black Guy with the Token Black Guy. And it's a play on words with that because Token, T-O-K-E-N, Black Guy, fits me too because I've been in a lot of places by myself. A lot of places by myself. We're going to get a chance to kick it and get a chance to have some conversation and cipher up and be able to talk a little bit. I want y'all to get to know me, man. My life was it was a movie. It was one of those unacclaimed hits that if you weren't in my circle or you weren't family, you really didn't know. And even in those situations, because of my personality and the way that I am, that's always been given in bits. You know, I love my family. There's nothing that mean more to me than the people I love and the people that love me back. That's family for me. It's not necessarily blood, even though the blood part of my family is dope too, no question. But my friends, I have friends that are family because they've been there with me for so long, and my life is full of long-term relationships. I've been married for 20 years this year, man, to the dopest chick on the planet, and my family's been around together for a very long time. My mom, I call her mama, my grandmother who raised me. She died when she was 96. That was about 3 or 4 years ago. My daddy, who is my grandfather, he died early. He died in the 70s. Unfortunately, he passed away from that menace, you know. But everybody in my family, we've been around for a long time. The oldest, which is my mom, she's the matriarch now. She's 83. Her brother that's under her is 70. Is he 80? No, he ain't 80. I want to say 75. But did he turn 80 this year? He might have turned 80. I have to look it up. And then his brother under him, 70 or 75. You know, my family is close, but we're so close that some things I take for know their ages exact, and it's unfortunate, but I'm being honest about it. But let me see. Then his sister under him is 65, and then her nephew, which is really a brother because we all was raised in the same house most of our life. I mean, 2/3 of our life was together. Definitely over half. Is together. Half is together. She's 65. Just turned 65 this month. Then her nephew, he just turned 63 in July. Then his nephew just is going to turn 60 in December. Then his nephew, which is me, is getting ready to turn 57 in April. So none of us are young. I'm the baby, and I'm 57. You feel me? So that really makes me feel good for me to see and to understand that the roots of our tree was really stable, because I've seen in my family a lot of my family members pass away in their 90s. Quite a few, you know. And I'm thankful for that, because for me, it just made me feel as though they got the business right with the Creator. And it feels good. You know, it feels good about that. But hey, again, Truth Be Told Thursday. I was just rambling on because I'm on a cloud right now. Enjoying. It's a mix of. When I'm around old NBA players, I know my shit ain't working later. What is it that I got? I got the privilege to be Limonel Hayes, which is a sativa. But whatever happens down the line, the cup of my body, it's all good. I got to be at my mama's house, my grandmother's house. I got to sit in my. I want to say cherry mint. I lived a great life, which is a indica. The Haze is coming in at 26. And the Cherry is coming in at 28. So I just made a salad. You feel me? And it was pretty good. It is pretty good. So I just had to come on, start getting my thing vibing. I'm actually getting back on my broadcast horse for Neighborhood PBS, Sheldon TV, Sheldon Radio, NPN TV, NPN Radio, NPN Voice, which is the podcast platform. And we've had we're getting back on schedule with Social Therapy with Dr. Brother Suave. He's coming on every Wednesday at 8:30. Show I've been producing for going on 2 years now. We got we probably have over. We need you to stay on. Oh man, just regular production hours. Production hours, we're at about 150 in production hours. But as far as watched hours, it's many more than that. I had a show last night, pretty good show. Pretty good topic. The brother was having some issues because he unexpectedly got a virus, which affected his voice. So he was coughing last night, trying to work his way through because he wanted to get his feet back wet and start getting back in training, getting this momentum and motion moving because he's kind of been away from it. We both needed the break. I was the one that really didn't take the break because he did have some guest hosts that came into the show. And so I was still engineering. The show, making sure that we can keep the brand pushing and keep the content going, really, to be honest about it. So I did that, and then I took a week. I've taken 1 week in 1 or 2 years. So I feel good about it. My skill level is getting up as far as the marketing components of it, coming up with some dope shit. Also with promotional stuff, putting together some events that I got to definitely keep y'all in the loop about. We got some shit popping off. Go check out my 420 Health. 420 Health. Yeah, that too. 420 Hip Hop Festival page on Facebook. Got a pretty good following going right now. Almost at 16K. And just continuously providing content, but we're looking to start infusing some live content in there and start being able to have some engagement and conversations on the live tip, as well as put on some events. 420 Hip Hop Festival, virtual Hip Hop Festival is probably going to be my first event. I have some artists that are dope that I think that you need to hear about, think that you need to be able to start enjoying. And we're going to put some things together, man. Probably going to end up putting together the festival and actually have a actual physical festival and have some of these artists in your face. You feel me? For you to be able to enjoy them. Just actually bring a different momentum to the game and bring what need to be, I feel, a mainstream element to the forefront. Because one thing about it is keeping it true to the nature of its creator. And to me, that's important. And that's hip hop. I'm a hip hop fan. Hip hop is a part of my DNA. Really got on it in '83 when I was a youngin', transitioning into something different because in 1st through 6th grade, I went to a Catholic private school. And I was the only black boy in elementary school for 6 years. 6 years. And I don't call names. My experience as a kid and an adolescent and as a teenager is a lot different than a lot of individuals. I'm sure it's similar to a lot as well. I'm sure there's a lot of people who've been in my circumstances and had to face the challenges because there were unseen challenges and challenges that people really don't understand unless you've been through it, unless you've experienced it. And so that's, I feel, is an advantage that I have from being able to make that really huge transition in life at that adolescent time of my life. And hip hop was introduced to me, as well as cannabis. So hip hop was introduced to me at that point, and I fell in love with it. I got an opportunity to go from public park league to be able to play for schools, sports programs, which I loved. I was always competitive. The guys that played in the public school that I played against in Park League that were older than me, because really most of the guys that I played against, I always played against an older demographic than me. These guys were, 2 and 3 years older than me that I played against, because I was kind of a big kid. I had a little height. I wasn't big as far as my girth and my stout and my body makeup. I've always been a thin guy. I weighed 165 pounds in 1987 when I came here. 165 pounds. I was 5'11", 165 pounds. But I was thin. And then I had a growth spurt. I went from 5'11" to 6'3", or to 6'2", 5'11" to 6'2". And I went from 165 to 225 and as far as my body and frame and my makeup. So, but anyway, back to what I was saying. I went from private school to public school. I got exposed to a bunch of things that I wasn't used to. Even though I knew a lot of the kids from playing sports against them, from seeing in the neighborhood, because my community was a tight-knit community. So everybody basically knew everybody. Okay. Or in their family, and everybody's family knew everybody else's families. I mean, it was a very beautiful way that I grew up. And I say that because in Facebook, I got a lot of friends where we have 500 mutual friends, 600 mutual friends. And there's several of them, quite a few of them that I have 300 and 400 mutual friends. And I have, how many do I have? Maybe. I don't know how many total people I have on LinkedIn. I tried to do it but the transition to going from the private school to the public school and being exposed from that private environment to more of a general environment, it was different. The experience was different, but the disciplines that I learned from going to private school and having the family that I do and the household that I had, I didn't get lost when I went to public school. As a matter of fact, we were so advanced when I came from private school. I was doing things because we had junior high, which was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade. Our high school didn't start until 10th grade, and it was 10th, 11th, and 12th. So I was doing things in 9th grade that I had done in 6th grade when I was in private school. So it definitely was a further advance. But what I've always wanted to do, because I look at the graduation years of some of the people that went to private school with me, that went all the way through 9th grade, because it was a 1 through 9 in private school. They went all the way through 9th grade, and it seems as though they graduated a year before me. And that's the part that got me perplexed. I just don't ever think about asking when it doesn't come up in my thoughts when I'm really on Facebook. Whenever I'm on Facebook, I'm not on it on my personal space more, really, unless it's a holiday or a family member's birthday, or I just happen to go through it or whatever. I spend most of my time on social media just so I can market and get my content out there, let people see and be exposed to what I do and how I do it and how I fly and dope my shit is, that type of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I really don't think about it whenever I do go in my personal space. But now that I'm talking about it, I'm going to remember to do that. I got to ask, because it seems as though, and I mean, and I've looked at quite a few of my classmates when I was in elementary school that went to public school whenever they left 9th grade and went to high school. Looked like they graduated a year before I did. And I'm wondering if they got moved up. And that's beautiful. And then for me, what it does, it reinforces and reinstills in me how sharp my edges are, and it's funny. But anyway, I got caught up on hip hop, man. I fell in love with it from there. It's just been a roller coaster ride. I love it. It keeps me fueled. It keeps my consciousness right. It keeps my mentality right. And I still absorb myself with the music from that era, from the 80s to early 2000s, because for me, those were the years that appealed to me. And the music has continuously evolved. The music is just an element of hip hop. Hip hop is a culture, it's a consciousness. There's 4 elements to it. But now what they do is they take the element of rap and categorize hip hop because of rap songs, and that's not fair to the culture. But I'm not going to get on that soapbox here on this little quickie. But you know what? I need to be branded too. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm gonna do, what I'm getting ready to do is I just got on it so quick, jumped off on this thing. See if my name. Yeah. Okay. Dropping that. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit y'all with a quick couple of spots. I'll be back. Give me time to go get my J. All right. We back. We up in here. Man, I'm watching this dope ass interview with Charles Barkley right now. It's pretty fly. You know, I respect Barkley. And that's why I like watching the interviews, because you know what? It take them out of their performance element, because he does NBA Tonight. NBA on TNT. You know, he's in character, but he has created himself to be a strong personality in media, in broadcast media. I can appreciate that, because he get jobs. He keep cutting checks, man.
But those are the rules. It's like my rules. Hey, I'm in the Hall of Fame, but I'm in a different wing than the guys who won the championship. I mean,
You're in the Hall of Fame.
I know I did, but I'm saying though, Jack.
Hey, Chuck said I'm in the Hall of Fame, but I'm in a different way than the rest of those guys.
Karl Malone's great. Patrick Ewing's great. They're not at the table with Magic, Bird, Ron, Kobe. It's levels to this shit.
Huh. That's what I'm talking about. Life has levels to it. And that's the one thing that we have to understand, is that we have to switch gears to be able to hit that gas and go to the next gear. That's important. And life is competitive. You know, it seems as though that being competitive, which I believe, in my opinion, is extremely healthy for you, your lifestyle, and your vibrance, is to be competitive. It doesn't make you a hater because you're competitive. You know, it doesn't make you envious because you're a competitor. That's not it. Because for me, when I see somebody getting it and they're getting it better than me, hell yeah, I'm getting ready to get competitive. So I can say I'm getting it too, if that's the case. You feel me? It has nothing to do with hate or anything like that. It's not the fact that I don't, that someone don't want the other individual to be successful. You know, that's small-minded shit right there. You know.
All-time guy, but now he gets to move over like in the Isaiah category.
Yes.
So then, I tell him, I said, but I don't mind these guys. Like,
But back to what I was saying about hip hop. So, you know, I got caught up on it. I started writing lyrics, fell in love with Run DMC because they were the one that really, they were the group that really tattooed hip hop in because I fell in love with that group. I fell in love with Run DMC. I mean, I heard Sequins, Curtis Blow. My brother really liked Curtis Blow because Curtis Blow was the one that really introduced rap during his time when he was a little bit younger, you know, around his teenage years. You know, Curtis Blow was the first one that was out there. He was the first solo artist that was out there. Curtis Blow was the king of the industry. He was the king of the industry. The Breaks, man, come on. The Breaks, are you serious? And it's still relevant today. It's still relevant today, man. I listen to The Breaks. I'm going to listen to The Breaks when I get off my show. As a matter of fact, I probably should put The Breaks on right now. It's 222. Whenever I see repetitive numbers, 222, 333, 444, one, I got a habit of sending a message to my wife to tell her I love her. Because for me, I say to God, thank you for keeping me in sync with life. It's just me. It's just one of my things. Different strokes for different folks. I'm just saying what keeps me on the move. But Run DMC was the one that tattooed or branded hip hop in me. But my brother had me listening to Curtis Blow, and I picked up on the song. I listened to the song. He came out with Christmas Rapping. He came out with Basketball. He came out with The Breaks. So, you know, Curtis Blow was that dude. He was. He had it on lock. And that's who the beginning rappers looked up to. L even say he had looked up to Curtis Blow. Everybody knew that Curtis Blow was that dude when it came down to rap, when it first came out, when hip hop first hit the scene. And you start talking about rapping, it was Curtis Blow. And you know, things just start evolving from there. The beats changed. That's what really, when Run DMC came out with that beat, man, are you serious? That is what changed the game. That is what changed the game because it was really just rapping on top of disco tracks. Disco had that bland bass drum. It was a bland bass drum. But when Run DMC came out, they put that roundness on it, that bounce on that bass, man, and it changed the game. And then the boys was dropping lyrics like nuts. You know, it was crazy back then for us. You know, listen to it now, it may sound simple like, oh man, that was some corny shit. Because for us, it was all about the creativity. It was all about painting a picture in your mind with our lyrics. You listen to the song, you get mesmerized because you start seeing everything that, you know, the brothers was talking about back then. And it's probably the same now. I don't know. I'm not super familiar with it because really the genre of music and the way and the music that's being made now, as far as supposed to be rap for hip hop, is really not my thing. You know what I'm saying? We all have our preferences. It's something out there that's dope. It really is. But I'm not from that era. That's not the type of music that's ingrained in me. So I like the lyricism. I like the play on words. I like the delivery. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit I like. And those who that acknowledge yourself, those who, you know, do speak consciousness, putting real meaning in the words, not saying that, you know, regardless of that, it's not about apologizing because I didn't say anything wrong. But anyway, I was influenced deeply by hip hop, and then I played sports. One thing I didn't do is I never lacked in class. I never had an FMR report card. Simple.
And Skip, to me,
I just thinking back. But this is a great interview, and I respect Charles, especially I'm respecting him more as I listen to the interview because he's swift. He's a country boy though, and I can dig him. I can understand. You know, people who are not from the South are really been exposed to the upbringing of youth in the South, and I'm talking about the real South, you know, because South is a direction and South is a culture. And most blacks that are from the South has experienced, or who's had families with generations in the South, have experienced basically the same things. And whenever you talk to them, they can understand. It's different than the newer generation now. The newer generation, the most recent generations really don't understand how individuals, even of my generation, Generation X, even had to deal with and tolerate things whenever we were their age. When we were in high school, we had race riots where I grew up at. For real race riots. I'm talking about the entire school having fights, race against race. Man, crazy. When I was in junior high, there was one that popped off because where I was, we had special ed in our school. We had special education in our school. I mean, students that were special, disabled kids, deaf kids, ones who just challenged disabled kids. And we also had levels to our learning. We had basic, average, and advanced. And then we had special ed, what we call special ed, special education. And it was one of our friends, one of our little homeboys, that was a special ed named Popeye. And him and one of the white dudes that went to school with, who was kind of a cocky, strappy white boy named Tommy, he started messing with Popeye for whatever reason or the other. They just started getting into a confrontation. So one of our homeboys who lived over in the projects where I grew up at, named Robert, confronted the white boy about it. So they kind of got in some words and, kind of got tense, but it kind of broke up after school, and there wasn't nothing popping off. But some way, somehow, it kind of came around that Rob and Tommy are going to fight the next morning in the spill out. What they call the spill out now, the space between the gym and the lunchroom, where all the kids gather in the morning. You know what I'm saying? All the kids fall out in after school type shit. And so that next morning, the word that kind of got around, I hadn't heard nothing about it until I got to school. I always got to school early because I would come to school and eat breakfast because I got free breakfast, right? So I get up early in the morning, and I hit it, and I go to school. So I got there early, and I started hearing all this buzz about this fight supposed to be going on. So I'm like, okay, I was never a troublesome kid. I was kind of that kid that handled their business by themselves. You mess with me, we have a problem, and I see you walk into the bathroom because you had to get a hall pass to go to the bathroom, and we had wings and windows and shit was open so you could see them. I'll meet you in the bathroom when ain't nobody in there, and then we'll square it up there. You know what I'm saying? But they started gathering that morning. Right? So Robert's homeboy, he actually I'm getting ahead of myself. So everybody start coming to school. Everybody start talking. The buzz start coming. You start hearing the mumbling and all that type of thing. So now Tommy shows up. The white boy comes out in the spill out, come out in the courtyard. And so everybody starting to look. Everybody looking around. Everybody want to see what's going to pop off with it, right? So Robert's homeboy, close friend, he come out. No. Robert comes out of the. If I'm not mistaken now, Robert comes out of the lunchroom, and so him and Tommy kind of square off, and things, kind of start getting intense because they're talking shit to each other. And that's when Roberts. I was getting ahead of myself because I keep seeing him running out of the lunchroom door, but Robert and Tommy wasn't into nothing. They were just in each other's face talking shit, just right there having conversation with each other. But his homeboy came running through the lunchroom and bust out the door and trying to jump in between them. I said, no. He didn't really even get a chance to see what was going on, right? It popped off from there. No, it didn't. They kind of started getting in each other's faces, started getting and stuff like that. At that time, the assistant principal came out of the lunchroom, and he tried to get in between them to break them up. When he did that, I think Robert might have said something to Tommy, but Tommy swung and hit the assistant principal in the face and broke his glasses.
crazy.
Things popped off, and I'm gonna tell you why it popped off. Because one, he was a black man, and he was the only black principal in our county. You know what I'm saying? We didn't have many black teachers and administrators, and we had no black principals where I grew up. When I grew up, so that started. All the black kids started getting on it. And all the arguments and everything started going back and forth. You know what I'm saying? And then it just popped off. Everybody started swinging, and people started getting hit, and blood started being spurted, and all kind of shit. And you had kids jumping. You know how you have the wings, you know, like when you have a sidewalk, and the only thing they have are the metal poles with the cover on it for you to go through. No walls. You have to walk through it. So if it's raining and the wind blowing, you're going to get wet anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just a wing with the cover on top. And you know, you had kids climbing up on top of the wings, jumping off the wings on top of people and things like that. Man, it was nuts. And it was right where all the school buses come in the morning. So all the buses start coming in, and it's a lot of kids got bused to us, even from out at the Air Force Base, which was probably 2 or 3 miles away. Maybe even 4. They would come to school early in the morning, so they were pulling. Everybody's pulling up and seeing all these elbows moving and fighting and things like that. It was crazy. And so what happened after everything kind of got slowed down and got broken up, because we didn't have resource officers that had guns. We didn't have no police officers with guns at our school where I grew up at, bro. It didn't happen like that. We didn't live like that. You know what I'm saying? We had janitors. I don't even think we had security at our school. Just to keep it real, I don't even think we had security. I think the only thing we had were janitors and lunchroom people. We didn't have security. If we did, I don't remember. They used to frighten everybody, of course, because the cops would come through with the dogs, and they'll go through and have their sniffs. You know, on certain days, they'll go through and start sniffing out lockers and sniffing through classrooms to see if you have any weed or anything like that on you and shit. They did that shit. Was causing panic, and it would cause panic in the classroom, man. When they know that the weed dog, that's what they say, the weed dog here today, man. You ought to saw people that panic, people that skipped school, all kind of shit was popping off back there with that stuff, man. But that's for something later. I'm just really getting caught up in this and getting on a whole nother tip. But yeah, so we were battling, man. I was just making an example of just the culture clash that we had when I was growing up, man. It was serious. You get caught in the wrong part of town where I grew up, and you're not, and you don't look right, you could be a problem. You know what I'm saying? It's just how that shit works. But anyway, I'm getting ready to finish watching this Charles Barkley video. Interview. It's dope. It's on demand. I'm gonna rewind it, but I appreciate it and gain more respect for him the more I listen to him speak. Because the brother, he all right. He's sharp on his feet, man. You know, he's not a dummy. He didn't get to where he was. I mean, one thing about him is he's branded himself. I mean, he is the voice of Subway. And Subway is one of the biggest franchises, if not the biggest franchise on the planet.
Who passed away the last couple of years. When I was doing my documentary on race, I did.
But hey, y'all, we're gonna catch up. I'm gonna shut y'all down. Drop y'all a couple of more spots that I produced. Remember, Token Black Guy, man. I'm gonna be coming back, having my Truth Be Told Thursdays, my Terpene Tuesdays, all of this on Sheldon TV, which is found on NPN TV, which is the network's channel, and the network is Neighborhood Planet / Neighborhood PBS. And all of that might seem complicated right now, but you'll get it whenever I give it. You feel me? So everybody, stay up, man. Be well. You know, we'll catch up. Peace.
Man, we get beat over the head so much.